Welcome, everyone, to the L7C podcast, College Women's Gymnastics Edition. Today, we have reached that time of the year where tournaments are going in all sports. Some sports are ending, other tournament runs, some are beginning, and women's college gymnastics is just beginning. The brackets have been unveiled, so we are going to talk about it with our college women's gymnastics expert, Miss Sarah Bogan. How are you doing today, ma'am?
Oh, I'm doing well. I'm a little bit stressed just looking at these brackets, but it could also be a symptom of the fact that I'm defending my dissertation in about a week. So
Oh.
this career milestone and this gymnastics postseason are all wrapped up together. So in some ways it's good, in other ways it amplifies my stress a little bit. So
How, how
we're
are you feeling with the title defense coming with the
oh,
dissertation? It is a
title
title
defense.
defense. It is a title defense in a way.
It is. My dissertation does have a title, and I'm hopefully I will be. I hopefully I will get myself to the point of feeling as confident in my ability to defend my dissertation as I am that Oklahoma is going to win another national championship
Oh,
come April. um, but yeah, I submitted my full dissertation to my committee earlier this week.
mhm.
And I have, this next coming week to kind of get my presentation ready. But so far, my committee's been pretty positive, which is good, but you never know.
Can't wait. Can't wait. Hopefully it all goes well. And then next time we're on, we're getting the great news about how it went.
Yeah, we'll get another doctor on the crew.
Look at look at that. Look at that. But Sarah, the bracket is out. I mean, for this podcast, there's really nothing more to say that let's dive in.
Sounds good.
So first off, Sarah, tell us about how these brackets are constructed.
Okay. So the gymnastics postseason is structured a little bit differently, mostly because in that, so like in, most sports, you kind of have like games between two teams,
Hmm.
winner advances. For the most part, with the exception of the first round, each meet in the postseason involves four teams and the top two advance. So there are four regionals. The top 36 teams make it into postseason. So that's 9 teams per regional. The bottom two in each of the regions is assigned to a play-in meet. And that's the first round. That's a duel, sudden death, winner moves on, loser goes home. From there, we're down to 8 in each region. So each regional has 2 regional semifinals, 4 and 4. The top two from each of those semis advance to the regional final. So then in the regional final, each region has 4 teams competing, and the top two from each of those go on to nationals. So there are 8 teams in nationals. There are then 2 national semifinals, 4 and 4, top two from each move forward. And that's how we get our final four, or the NCAA likes to call it the four on the floor. And from there, they all compete to become national champion and runner up and so forth. So it's kind of like a 4-and-2 structure.
So let's just say, for example, like the top one, like Alabama, Michigan, Kent State, and Penn State. Let's
Mm-hmm.
just say someone picked Kent State to advance. So they would it be two teams or just they would be the one coming out of that pool?
There would be 2 teams, two
Okay.
teams from each pool of 4.
Gotcha. So then it goes two, and then 1 and 1 or 2 and 2.
2-and-2.
Okay. Okay. Well, shoot, Sam. Well, then let's just start. Let's start right up here at the top with these four first: Alabama, Michigan, Kent State, Penn State. Who do you have?
All right. So for the regional final, advancing to the regional final out of the first set of 4, this was one of the easiest picks I made. I'm pretty confident it's going to be Bama and Michigan. They're both pretty far ahead of the other two. I think Michigan has been struggling a little bit with its depth, but they do have amazing, amazing gymnasts. And you also see the star next to their name saying that they're actually a regional host site. So they will be in their home gym with their home crowd. And that usually gives them quite a boost historically. So Bama and Michigan advancing from that first semi.
All right. I have the same.
Moving into the second semi has that play-in meet between Illinois and Ball State. And I'm giving that play-in meet to Ball State, even though it looks like they're a little bit lower in their national qualifying score. I just really believe in the season Ball State has had. They were part of the big controversy in Tennessee where they got an insanely high score, were a big part of the judging controversies and discussion about overscoring this season. But they do have good gymnasts. You know, Suki Pfister has been as high as fifth in vault individually. She's scored perfect tens. She's very, very good. And so they have that star power heading into postseason. So I believe in them. So that leaves us in the second semifinal of that first regional: Oklahoma, North Carolina, Ohio State, and Ball State. My first pick to advance from there is obviously Oklahoma. It's going to take a lot for them to not not make their way through this bracket pretty easily. And then my pick between North Carolina State and Ohio State. This was one of the hardest decisions I had to make in this round. I ended up choosing NC State, although I do believe Ohio State can give them a run for their money. But NC State has been really surging in postseason. I was really, really impressed with their showing at conference championships last week. And they have some real star gymnasts, and they seem to have a lot of momentum. So my heart breaks to say it. Sorry, Ohio State, but I'm giving this one to NC State.
It's all right because I picked Ohio State, so
So we're covered
we're
between the two of
covered.
us. We're
I had
covered.
Bama, Michigan, OSU, Sooners. So
Yeah, it's a good pick.
whatever. They're going. They've done enough. They do well regular season. I was unfortunately not able to see them in person because I was going to a lot of OSU women's basketball games. The time was always messing up. So my goal is to continue. So, because I'm a season ticket holder for the women's basketball team, but actually get out to more gymnastics meets at home. That is my 2024 goal going into 25.
That's a fantastic goal. I support that goal.
Thank you. So let's just finish off this side. So we're both going to have the Sooners in the floor. But who do you have
Absolutely.
them going against?
This was another hard one for me. And I did end up going with Michigan. I think Bama and Michigan are pretty evenly matched. Like I said, Michigan's had a lot of injuries. I've also been really impressed with watching Bama this year. Like they beat Florida in the regular season. They have really good gymnasts. I've also made the mistake of counting out and forgetting about Bama before. And I've always regretted it. They are a program that has all the experience, making it into postseason, winning national championships. But because of the being the hosts, I really think Michigan could upset Alabama, um, just because they have that home team support. Um, that said, it was kind of a coin flip for me. It could go either way.
I had
So
Michigan
Oklahoma
as
and Michigan.
I had Michigan as well, which pains me that I had to pick Michigan because I'm an Ohio State fan, but it is what it is. So we got the Sooners, first team in the Final Four. All right. So let's go down to Utah's side. What do you got going on over there?
Okay, so in the first semifinal, we got Utah, Michigan State, Towson, and Maryland. This one was pretty easy for me. I picked Utah and Michigan State. Wasn't too hard. In the second semifinal, we've got Clemson versus Iowa State. I've watched both of these teams this season. Clemson broke my heart by poaching most of my favorite gymnasts from Utah State. So I have some feelings about them still. I've also seen Iowa State. They're having a great season. But I do really believe in the star power Clemson has. And they had kind of a tough showing at ACC championships last week. They had to kind of fall on beam. They didn't do their best. And I think they're going to be out for vengeance. They're a team that has a lot of energy. Um, and I think they're going to bounce back and get that play in spot. So that leaves with our second semifinal: Florida, Mizzou, Georgia, and Clemson. And again, this one was pretty easy. I'm going with Florida and Mizzou. So regional final, I'm expecting to be Utah, Michigan State, Florida, and Missouri.
Okay. Well, it is bracketology, so you got to have some upsets, someone, tripping on the bar, the beam, someone falling when they're not supposed to. So I'm putting some human error into mine. So I had
Okay.
Utah and Michigan State as well on
Okay.
that. And then I had Clemson in the playing game that basketball calls it. I had Clemson making a little magical run. I got Florida and Clemson.
Really?
You gotta, someone's gonna mess up. Why not Clemson? Like their story, we talked about at the beginning, that teetered off, and now they're in this playing game. They may not even make the play in for all I know by the time this episode goes out. But I just don't think this is gonna be completely chalk. I do think there's gonna be this is a chance for the people who don't listen to this podcast or don't go on gymnastics Instagrams or whatever to actually like get the full like Clemson story about how magical it is. So why not make an unexpected run and go against the Florida Gators?
I think they could do it. I think they could do it.
So,
Um,
but then I
but we'll
have Florida
see.
beating them, so who doesn't?
Well, yeah, of course. Yeah. So for the regional final, so two will advance to the national semifinals. This one was hard for me. I did end up going with Utah and Florida, which in a way is an easy choice, but it was so Utah and Florida have both made the four on the floor the past 2 years. They're ranked fourth and fifth. Florida's fourth, Utah's fifth. They're both programs that have a history of doing very, very well in postseason. So they know how to show up in postseason and win a championship. Utah shocked me, honestly, at Pac 12's last week when they went out and won the last ever Pac 12 championship. I didn't think they were going to be able to do that this year, but they did. I went back and forth a little bit about whether I thought Michigan State could potentially upset either Utah or Florida. I think they have the ability to do that. They're coming off of their Big Ten win. They're still really trying to break through and make it to nationals. They almost made nationals last year. Um, they're a team that has every quality and ability to beat the best, ability to beat Michigan. Um, but I think Utah and Florida just have that experience performing when it counts and really advancing out of this postseason structure and having that mental training that Michigan State hasn't quite figured out yet. So Utah and Florida heading to nationals for me.
So I don't know why I just closed on me. Look, again, I'm for the upset, so I did have the upset of Utah and MSU. I had Michigan State upsetting Utah, and then them going against Florida, and then Florida beating Michigan State. We're just Big Ten homering with upsets over here. So, but it's a possibility. It just we'll see. We'll see. Someone's gonna mess up somewhere. We just don't think it's gonna be Oklahoma, but doesn't mean that any of these other teams aren't vulnerable. So,
Correct.
but it's all right. But you have Florida in your like the four, right? Or did you?
In the
Or
Oh,
did
are
you
we
take
talking
Utah?
nationals yet?
Well, we had Sooners winning that side, so we have Sooners on that, and then you had
Okay. So for the semifinal, so the national semifinal, that's weeks away. That's a couple weeks after
yeah, that's a while
regionals.
then.
But okay, so the national semifinal, I've got Oklahoma, Michigan, Utah, Florida. Of those two, I'm taking Oklahoma and Florida.
Hmm.
Um, even though I think Utah could definitely make the final.
Cool. Yeah, so I have Sooners in Florida as well. Now going to the other side
Yes.
with Kentucky, Arkansas, Arizona,
Woo.
Nebraska, LSU, Minnesota, Oregon State, Boise State, and BYU. First, who do you have winning that little play-in game?
I'm gonna go with my home conference here, and I'm gonna say Boise State. So Boise State's coming off of a really awesome season. They had, well, last year they had two individuals qualify to nationals, which is huge for a school coming out of the Mountain West, or at that time it was the Mountain Rim Gymnastics Conference. So Courtney Blackson is one, and uh, Emily Lopez is the other. Courtney Blackson went on to get second overall on vault. Amazing, amazing gymnast. They are coming off of a Mountain West Gymnastics Conference win. I watched them in person. They had a dream beam rotation. They didn't even do the best they could have done. They've been resting Courtney Blackson, who's one of their stars, because she was injured a little bit. I'm really hoping to see her back in postseason to help them beat BYU, their old MRGC rivals. I'm a little concerned. I think the judges have a little bit of a history of giving the benefit of the doubt to BYU a little bit more. But I think with the way Boise State's been performing this season, I think they're going to take it over BYU.
Okay.
So,
And then once you have that, who do you got in this first area right here?
all right. So Kentucky, Arkansas, Arizona, and Nebraska. Of those two, I think it's going to be pretty straightforward. It'll be Kentucky and Arkansas. And then from the second semi, LSU, Minnesota, Oregon State, and Boise State. I'm going to go LSU and Minnesota. I almost had Oregon State upsetting Minnesota, but Minnesota had a really, really nice showing at Big Tens last weekend, which makes me think they're really ready to compete and are looking really good. So in the regional final, I've got Kentucky, Arkansas, LSU, and Minnesota.
And then who do you have advancing out of those four to these two spots?
This one is hard. This one was really hard for me. I have had my eye on Arkansas as being a potential spoiler. They've been having a really good run. They have amazing gymnasts. They've been hitting conference or personal program records all season. A lot of experts, a lot of people who are really into the scoring have been saying they think that Arkansas is being scored a little bit low. And postseason is usually when we see the scoring kind of even out. And we get to see all the teams on the even playing the field. And I believe in Arkansas a lot as a program. That said, I think Kentucky has just had too strong of a year. And I think LSU has had too strong of a year. So as much as it pains me to leave Arkansas out, I'd love to see them go to nationals. I'm going with LSU and Kentucky inviting or advancing to the nationals.
Okay. So then LSU, Kentucky have that as well. Then out of those two, who do you have winning?
The two
Well,
of them,
got to go back down. Yep, we got to go
right,
back down. Yep. So
right, yeah.
first,
So put a pin on that. We'll
Denver.
talk about
Yep.
it.
So Denver, UCLA, Arizona State, Washington, Cal,
This one could
Auburn,
be,
Stanford, Southern Utah, San Jose State.
yeah. So of Southern Utah and San Jose State, so Southern Utah is a former conference mate of Utah State, so I'm very familiar with them as a team. We were in MRGCs together last year. San Jose State is a current conference mate of Utah State. I watched them last weekend. And SUU, of the two of those teams, both of them have a lot of star power. I believe in SUU this year a little bit more. They're coming off of the MPSF Conference Championship. They have some really good, strong freshmen this year. So I'm just going to give them the edge over San Jose State, even though I believe in both teams, and that will be a very fun matchup to watch. So SUU into the regional semi.
Mhm. Let's keep it going.
And so then of the first semifinal, we've got Denver, UCLA, Arizona State, and Washington. I'm going Denver, UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
And then second semifinal, I've got Cal, Auburn, Stanford, SUU. I'm taking Cal and Auburn.
Okay. Um, I don't know why. Maybe Pac-12 final hurrah. I had Cal and Stanford. I got Auburn
Hmm,
getting bounced.
really?
Not that's I just feel like they're gonna mess up. And Stanford's gonna be like, this is our last time at the Pac-12. Let's just go out with a bang like the other Pac-12 brethren. But
It could
so
certainly happen. I admittedly haven't watched much of Auburn this season. They've kind of fallen off the map for me after SUNY left. But they definitely have good gymnasts and are worth, keeping an eye on. But you can also never count out Stanford.
no, not at all. So then where we got now left here? Let's
Whew. Yeah. So at this point in the regional final, I've got Denver, UCLA, Cal, and Auburn. You
hmm
have Denver, UCLA, Cal, and Stanford.
hmm
So for me, I'm taking Cal and Denver. And I thought about this a lot. I'm a little bit nervous. I feel like both of the California schools here could sow a lot of drama. Um, so UCLA has all the talent you can imagine, except for, like uh, Jordan Childs, who's taking the year off, and Anna Padenario, who's taking the year off. But UCLA has been interesting to follow this year because they have such a high ceiling, but also such a low floor. They've been wildly inconsistent. So they have the ability to make it all the way to nationals, I believe. But I don't think they can put together that many good meets in a row. They could also potentially be knocked out by like an Arizona State or a Washington in the first round. We don't know what's going to happen with UCLA, but they could play spoiler to a lot of others. I'm also really concerned about Cal. This pains me so much because I believe in Cal and their talent and their ability to win a national championship in terms of the gymnastics so much. I think they have traded back and forth between LSU for number 2 and number 3 all season. I actually almost believed in them more than I believed in LSU in terms of someone who can unseat Oklahoma. But Cal had a really rough outing at Pac-12s last week, and everyone kind of expected them to win outright. They definitely have the ability to do it, but they just seem to fold under the pressure of that expectation a little bit. And that's also something I saw from them last year. I was in Pittsburgh for the regional where they won. They had a dream performance they put together, went into nationals with so much momentum, and then fell apart in national semifinal. I think they're a team that has all the talent, but I think they struggle a little bit with performing when the pressure really is on them and when the expectations are on them. So I think perhaps UCLA could upset Cal, which would be really sad. But regardless, the teams I have going forward in national semifinals are Cal and Denver. But I went back and forth on this a lot. I don't quite know what's going to happen, especially with Cal and UCLA
It's all right
battling it
because
out.
I'll take your upset for you. I have UCLA and Cal.
Ooh, very nice. I
Upset
would be on
galore.
board with that. I would love to see Denver upset. Not because I have anything against Denver, but I do really enjoy watching both UCLA and Cal, and would love to see them both make it.
So then there's Kentucky, LSU, Cal, and for me, UCLA. For you, Denver.
Mm-hmm.
What two do you have meeting Oklahoma and Florida?
This is where I am sad, and I am going to say I think it's going to be LSU and Kentucky. So yeah, I think Cal's going to get knocked out at the semifinal or sooner. I just believe in LSU and Kentucky so much as in terms of what they've put together and their ability to hit under pressure. Um, I think Cal could they definitely have the ability to knock out Kentucky or knock out LSU. But I had to choose two. I could only choose two, and I'm choosing LSU and Kentucky.
So your thing, you would have three SEC teams and one Big 12 team.
Mm-hmm.
See, well, technically Oklahoma is going to be in the SEC next year, so four SEC
They
teams.
are.
So I had to do some variety. So I kicked Kentucky to the curb here, and I put California. So I have Sooners, Florida, LSU, and Cal.
All
Wanted some
right.
different variety from different regions of the country, and Cal is more than capable, like you said. But Kentucky's been consistent. LSU's been consistent. They've been really good. It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot of people having the performances of a lifetime, and then take some people unfortunately failing. But
Mm-hmm.
that's what I have at the moment. So my only difference is I have Cal and you have Kentucky.
Yeah.
Now, does
So
that change
mine,
your overall outcome of the national champion, though?
it does not. I I cannot bet against Oklahoma right now, given everything they've done all season. Their score last week is a new NCAA record, 198.95. It could have been a 199. People thought it was going to happen. But I watched them. What meet was it? I think it was Alabama versus Oklahoma a few weeks ago. They had, big group of their gymnasts were out with strep throat for half the week, came back, competed. There was people making uncharacteristic mistakes. There was somebody who fell. But that team is so pressure tested, they still got their highest score of the season because they stepped up, bounced back from the adversity, and were able to still hit under that pressure. I think Oklahoma's doing a lot of things right. They do a lot of things within their program that no other program does. All of them get massages after every practice. All their all around gymnasts get an extra day off to rest their bodies and rest them mentally. And they have that championship, show up, win, compete under pressure at all costs mindset that no other team has been able to replicate. Um, and their national qualifying score is almost a full fall ahead of everybody else. So, like, a fall is 5/10, half a point. And keep in mind, every lineup you can drop one low score, so you need to have two people fall within one of your lineups in order for you to count that fall. So there are so many things that would have to go wrong for Oklahoma for them to be within striking distance of another team. And the more the season goes on, the more I believe that. So what about you, Martin?
Well, I do currently have the champs repeating.
All right.
But I just I don't know. It's just again, I'm on the huge thing of human error right now because that is possible. It's one of those things of Oklahoma, normal, consistent, don't beat themselves, they're going to win. But what if they do beat themselves? I mean, they were stopped from having they would have had a three-peat if they would have won in 2021. They didn't. They
Mm.
lost to Michigan. They were the runner-ups. I mean, in 2018, they were the runner-ups to UCLA. Like, there have been times, so the past couple years, just from a historical thing, anytime Oklahoma is close to a three-peat in these recent years, they've lost. Like
Mm.
16, 17, back to back, then lost to UCLA. Then you have the 19 they won, then COVID happened, then lost to Michigan, which if they didn't lose to Michigan, they would have been on a three-peat. And it's just like, they're so great, but it's like winning a championship three straight times in any sport is extremely difficult.
Mm.
I just feel like some of these teams are gonna, and Florida, who has lost to Oklahoma, coming runner up 2 years in a row, they've got to be fed up. Like they have to be fed up. But then I'm just thinking about what if Dunn and crew put on a performance of a lifetime? Like they're clicking, and wouldn't the I know they wouldn't say it, but from a marketing thing, wouldn't the powers to be absolutely love if Olivia Dunn and LSU became national champs? You got the most recognizable female athlete. Well, now with like Caitlin Clark and others, but definitely up there, most recognizable person you see on national commercials, and she becomes a national champ, and she's performing really well. Like I think they would love that, or maybe like last of the Pac-12, Cal comes out wins, but I'm good. I'm picking Oklahoma, but I'm just like something might happen. Like
Yeah. Who's
eventually they're
most
going to
likely?
lose to somebody.
Who's most likely to upset
LSU.
Oklahoma? You think LSU?
Hmm.
I mean, I was leaning before last weekend, I was actually leaning toward Cal, but yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. And then Florida, you can never count Florida out. So
I know they're tired
yeah,
of Oklahoma.
it's
If
going to
Oklahoma
be,
didn't exist, they'd have two championships right now, back to back. Like that eats at you. That if this one team wasn't here, we'd be champions.
yeah, it's wild. And I know there are teams that are coming after Oklahoma for sure. Like everybody wants to beat Oklahoma.
Hmm.
I forget who it was on the Kentucky team. It was like one of the Kentucky seniors who um, was outspoken and said, like, we can beat any team. We believe in ourselves. We can beat any team, including Oklahoma.
And
So people are thinking about it.
that's the attitude you need to have, though.
Absolutely.
So I think I asked this last year, but I do have a gripe. Why is the selection show at 12 o'clock on a Monday. Like, why can they not? I don't understand why. Like, I guess for more viewers, like, really? 12 o'clock on a Monday? People are already mad that they're at work on Monday and that's their lunchtime, so they're probably not going to watch it. But why are they having it at 12 o'clock on a Monday?
I don't know. My bigger question is why can't they spell the gymnast's name correctly? Like
Oh,
there are so many name misspellings. I didn't even watch this year because it's so bad. But there's usually like name misspellings on the brackets, especially from individuals, and very, very bad name mispronunciations, including like I think in the 2000 or the 2021 or 2022 selection show, they were saying like Jordan Chillis for Jordan Childs. Like these are not unknown gymnasts. These are like Olympians, but they still can't get things right. And the NCAA is how much money do they have? How many resources can they throw at somebody to sit down and spend some time to learn how to pronounce these names and spell these names correctly?
and then
So
for the casual fan, also to keep continue on the NCAA gripage, they if you go on the broadcast info, they have like all the rounds and championships and all that, and they have the locations and the times. It makes it okay. So this is how, like, it made it almost sneakily like, all right, how can I watch it? Like, they have networks so far to the side. Like, if a casual person wants to be like, oh, I want to watch gymnastics, like, and people are lazy, we know they're not going to scroll over.
mhm.
So,
Well, and all of them, when you scroll over, all of them are on ESPN Plus. They're not even on a network.
yeah, but you got to pay for that. See, that's another. See, now I'm starting to kind of get a little agitated.
And
Good.
honestly, like I think the regionals, especially like the regional semifinals and especially the regional finals, they're more intense and more exciting to watch than the nationals, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
I think ESPN is really messing up again and losing really good opportunity to put these really exciting meets on a network.
I do like when they do the quad view, though. That is really
Yes,
cool.
they
That is
do.
really cool.
ESPN Plus does a good job with that. And so something ESPN Plus does for nationals as well is like there's the main feed on nationals, but then they have the quad box that they have a feed for on ESPN Plus, and then they also have individual event streams. So you can sit down and watch all of the beam routines, or you can sit down and like just follow your favorite team and watch all of them do all of their routines throughout the entire time so that you can see what's going on. So they're doing good things. ESPN's doing good things, but I'm amazed that after all the growth we've seen in women's college gymnastics, the semifinals and the regionals are still just on streaming. Which is a missed opportunity.
I don't understand too that I mean, with all the stuff, it's like YouTube. Why don't they just stream them on YouTube? I mean, I don't like, or just do something. Like, not everyone has ESPN Plus, and if you want more people to watch,
Mm-hmm.
you need to not have it on ESPN Plus. Because
Exactly.
I don't even know how. Let me actually ESPN Plus cost. Because
Yeah, it's part
I'm
of the Disney bundle, which I think helps. And you can get it as an add-on to Hulu. I mean, I like having so like I don't have. I mean, I have cable right now because I'm living in a hotel, but usually I kind of appreciate being able to just have to pay for ESPN Plus for postseason because it costs a lot of money to get cable. And the bar to entry is like a little bit lower to get the ESPN Plus. But
mhm.
for the, that's just me. That's just my situation. Not everyone has that situation. And I empathize with like the relationship between the timing between NCAA regionals for gymnastics and Final Four for women's basketball. They always overlap.
Mhm.
And so I'm sure they're competing, they're having network space issues with that. But I feel like for people who are like big fans of women's sports in general, having everything on top of each other isn't a good thing at all.
No, I agree. I agree. It's one of those things, but ESPN has so many different alternatives. The Final Four, that's for two games. Like in ESPN, from a perspective of putting it on ESPN, they have ESPN two. They have
Mm-hmm.
ESPN News, which they're just showing reruns of shows that were already shown on ESPN. So why don't you
Mhm.
just put it on ESPN too, or ESPNU?
Mhm.
No, just that's something to think about. But how excited are you for this well, I can't even say March Madness because it starts in April. So
Yes,
like
April
April
Madness.
April Madness. I know we kind of went chalky with Oklahoma winning it all, and rightfully so, but there are possibilities for some real standout performances and people to become household names.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think I'm more excited, and this has happened the past couple years. Like I'm very excited to see how the regionals play out because once we get to nationals, we know what's going to happen for the most part. I'm not waiting with bated breath to see if someone can beat Oklahoma because I just don't think it's going to happen. And it's not fun to watch the same team dominate year after year, even though, they are awesome. Um, yeah, I'll say I'm excited for certain regionals for sure, and I'm excited to see what these teams put out. But you know, I can't say I'm as excited for the national final four on the floor as I normally am, but I'm still going to watch.
Fair enough. And this all begins April 3rd.
Yes, it's coming up.
It's coming up. We got April 3rd and then April 3rd, then April 4th and the 5th, and April 6th and 7th. Then you got a little break. Then April 18th through the 19th, see the semifinal, ESPN2 right there. Also, just even looking at this bracket, they don't even put like they could put where these rounds are going to be. But
Hmm.
ESPN2 national championship in Texas yet again. Sarah,
Yes.
anything else?
That's all.
All right. With that being said, thank you everyone for listening to the L7C podcast. The final stretch for the college women gymnastics is here. We're all going to be watching and then reporting on back. And then when the champion is crowned, maybe we'll come back before that to do when they have the final four
Mhm.
selected. Maybe we'll come back before that and we'll do that. And then the championship and then Olympics start. So it's a very exciting time. With that being
Yeah.
said, make sure if you want to see some high flying, because that's literally what gymnastics is, people high flying, tune into the National Collegiate Women's Gymnastics Championship. It is a great thing to watch. With that being said, the L7C signing out. Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.